Welcome, we're glad you're here. I'd like to introduce Natalie Vega Rose. She's going to be your presenter this morning. Thank you.
Y'all have me talking to Mike this morning, so I'm super comfortable with that. So I'm Natalie Vega Rose. I'm from Kingwood, and I don't ever want to assume knowledge. So I wanted to start out by telling you a little about us, where our location is. If y'all don't already know, it's northeast of Houston, and this is our beautiful campus. So that being said, one of the things I wanted to talk about in particular was right here. Our student age, fall of 18, we're about 41.4% under 20. This has changed up 4% since fall of 17. I think it might have probably to do with Harvard, but I think that's really interesting to note as we kind of go forward. So again, in the interest of not assuming knowledge, what happened? Well, HB 2223 by Representatives Giddings and White was submitted and passed. What this says is that in fall of 2018, last semester, 25% of our deaf student population must be enrolled in a Corequisite course. There was a 4-hour discussion about the denominator, so if you're interested in that, we can talk later, but for intents and purposes, deaf students. And so, this affected our big four. These are our 4 gateway courses. The algebraic pathway is college algebra and finite, and non-algebraic is lib arts and stats. And so, when we first heard this, we all felt like this, right? Adventure! And then while this was going on, and while we were dealing with this, what happened was Harvey. And so this is our campus. 6 of our 9 buildings got flooded. We actually just had our grand opening in February, but we still are not fully back. Our library is back, and we have a couple of things that we're still on what's called a punch list. And so while we're dealing with House Bill 2223, while we're dealing with Harvey, we're still adventure, right? And so we didn't have really a campus while we were building this, but so we still had to do it. And so part of the things, I was responsible for the team that built the algebraic pathway, the college algebra, the 0314. And so every time I start to think about, how we should proceed, I always ask myself, what problem are we trying to solve? And the reason for that is because you could come up with a million different solutions, right? But if it doesn't solve the particular well-defined problem that you were trying to solve, they are all worthless. So this is like my favorite cartoon, right? Because terribly designed squirrel feeder. Well, that's because it's not friends. It's a bird feeder. And so it's designed to keep squirrels out. But so I think we all kind of feel like this sometimes in class, right? And this was great when college was for, a small select group of folks. But here's the thing, now it's a gateway for, the majority of careers. And so we can't keep pretending that, we can keep doing this. But here's the problem, is that students are trained to tune out, that they think that cramming and memorization is going to get them through. And, if we don't hold them somewhat accountable for their learning, then they will. They'll cram, they'll memorize, they'll do all these things. And so as we were building the support course for college algebra, right, what problems were we trying to solve? Well, with college algebra, we weren't. It was business as usual, because here's the thing. If a student passes college algebra, they're going on to trade, they're going on to business cal, they're going on to wherever they're going. We have to maintain the level of rigor, we have to maintain everything that we have always done. It is college algebra business as usual. So what problem were we trying to solve? We weren't. But with the support course, we had many problems that we were trying to solve. First of all, we know that students come to us, TSIA 350, that prepares them for college algebra, right? They're just ready to knock it out. So we already knew that we had underprepared students. But how do we solve the problem of even more underprepared students? How do we do that? And so sure, content is a problem. You could sit and talk to anybody and it doesn't matter in pre-cal. People are like, they can't factor. I know, same. However, what can we do? So when I was talking to instructors and I was like, tell me, what problems are we trying to solve? What are the pain points, etc.? What they said was, well, students don't know that they need to come to class and they need to be present both physically and also mentally. They'll sit on their phone, they'll take a nap, they'll do whatever. They're not here. They might be here physically, if that, but they certainly aren't here mentally. So that was a big problem. The other thing is that students don't know that they need to get meaningful practice both inside and outside of class. Because all three of these pieces will help them to be successful on tests. And lastly, overarching through all of this was that students didn't have an academic mindset. It's not that they don't know how to be successful, or it's not that they want to fail, it's that they don't know how to be successful. And so how can we help them develop an academic mindset while also giving them the pieces that they need to be successful in college algebra? So let's dig in a little to this. Let's take a common problem. We know that students generally take a test, right? And they don't look at it anymore. They just put it in their bag, they'll like deal with it, whatever. So what they're doing is they're looking at tests like a driving range, right? They hit the ball once, see how far it goes. Then test 2 comes, they hit the ball again, they see how far it goes. But what they aren't looking at is how these tests connect. And so how can they look at it? How can we help them look at it like a whole course? You like that? So this is one of the things we did. In our support course, they take their test in college algebra, business as usual. But in this support course, we have what's called a power exam plan. The assignment has kind of changed since these screenshots, but these screenshots capture what I wanted to talk about, so I left them up here. Over here, and over here, the first 2 screenshots, we talk about, we collect data. Tell us about your homework. How are you, what help did you get with it? Are you sitting there using guided solution every single time, help me solve it? Are you doing it on the due date? Are you going to the tutor and having them be like, help me with all the things, and whatever? What are you doing? Notice that we're not telling them whether what they've done is right or wrong. We're just collecting data. The middle screenshot says, when did you start studying, right? And here's the thing, most of them are so confident before test 1. They're like, well, I started studying 2 hours before the test. You gotta blow it out of the water. That's right. And so the first test comes, and they bomb it. Not a surprise. But what is really key is that after that, in the support course, again, up here, we've got the problem, why they lost points, and a description. So they're actually reworking every problem that they lost points on, and they're talking about why they got it wrong. And that's helping to build for next time. Lastly, in the lower, what is that, left? No, it's right. Lastly, we're asking them, what habits do you want to keep, kill, and change? Because maybe what you did before worked for you. Keep that. But what didn't work? What might you want to change? So that being said, how did we create the College Algebra Correct Support course? Here's what we did. The picture over here. We sat there and looked at our SLOs, and we said, what sections of our course materials align with our SLOs? That's those little pink sticky notes. Then, what prerequisite knowledge is needed for students to be successful in that content? We were very specific with what type of problems are we going to teach in class? What specifically do students need to teach? And I'll show you an example of this in a second. After we had that, the middle picture is chaos, because we changed a lot of stuff as time went on. And truthfully, we had the additional issue with Harvey, because one of the things that we had our students do was, for fall, our first semester, they could choose any 0314 support course, but they could choose a selection, a subset of the 13-14 courses. So they essentially could take the support course Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, online, and they had the same options for the college algebra. So we needed to build in a calendar that took into account whether the students took the class before, after, online, to try and figure out what that would look like for them to serve them in the best way that we could. So chaos was our middle. But then at the end, this was a brand new class. Again, we had no idea what it should look like. Like, I can tell you how long it's going to take me to teach 1.1 in college algebra. I can't tell you how long it's going to take me to teach something that we don't know what it is in the support course. So how do we do this? So over here, this last picture, truthfully, I just wanted to show you my dog because he's cute, but his name is Gus. But we wrote what a day in the support course should look like. Every single day is written on one of these pieces of paper. Each row corresponds to the supporting material for a test. So the first row is going to be what's covered in the support course for test 1, what's covered in the support course for the test 2 in college algebra is our second row, and so forth. So you can see we still have our 4 tests in college algebra and then a little extra. So let's take a look at what that looked like. Here is our college algebra SLO. That's our first SLO that's listed from the state. Obviously, we're not going to cover exponentials and logs in test 1. That's why those are crossed out, and it says test 1, because we're covering that now on test 4. So you can see the sections that kind of align for this semester. We are following more or less the order of the book, because we made some changes for spring, which again I'll talk about in a second. So essentially, we lined up our SLOs with our content, and this is fine, this is great. But what does the support course look like? Well, here's our instructor calendar up at the top. Down at the bottom, we've got our student calendar. So on the first day of class, we want our students to know that, first of all, they're not alone. We're here to help them. We're not going to throw them into 6 hours of math and be like, math it up, you guys. It's going to be the best semester of your life, right? We want them to know, knowing what the dev students are like. We wanted them to know that we will help them through with content, but also we will give them tools that will help them be successful not only in this class, but in any class. So our first day, you see that all we're covering is linear application. So the first day in the support course, they are covering word problems. Yes. The middle column is our class plan. How are they going to do this? Well, the first thing, they talk about the syllabus. We have a syllabus agreement, all that boilerplate stuff, right? But then we've got this thing that's called Power Framework and Noticing Behaviors. So our book has, framework, and it's basically what every successful student needs. And, anybody that's achieving any goal, they follow this Power Framework: prepare, organize, do the work, evaluate, and they rethink. And so we've given them this framework that when they're studying for tests, when they're doing their homework, whatever it is, they've got something that they have a way that they can follow, a series of steps. The Noticing Behaviors assignment, what that is, students, how many of you guys have students that come to class and they tell you, well, I don't want to ask questions in class because everybody else gets it and I'm going to look dumb. Same, right? Yeah, all of us. I see lots of nods and hand raises. Cool. So, same. We wanted to get them away from that. So, we did this little activity where they're given, and it takes like 15 minutes, as you can see, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. But we give them, when you go to the dentist and they give you your fluoride, you get those little plastic cups. So we give them one of those and a toothpick, and we tell them, hold it under the desk. And we ask them, how many of you don't ask questions in class because you think everyone gets it? If that's you, pop it. So guess how loud that sounds, right? And they're all like, oh wow, it wasn't just me. And then we tell them at the end of it, because we ask them questions like that, how many of you guys don't want to go to tutoring because you think it'll make you look dumb? How many of you guys don't, like you start your homework and you're like, this is hard, I quit, don't look at me. And all of them, right? Pop, 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 pop. And so we're making those connections on day one. It's anonymous. They don't have to say, it's me, I'm yours. But they see that they are not the only ones struggling with this. That takes like 15 minutes. So again, it's not a big deal. But then at the end, we tell them, now look at your cup, hold it over your head. If I were to pour water in that cup, what would happen to the water? It'd fall out, right? That's your success. Don't make these choices. Don't poke holes in your cup. So that's that. Then we get into reading math textbooks. This takes up the rest of the class period. It takes up half of it. And what we do is we lecture them on, I say lecture, I use that very loosely, but we deliver a lecture on linear applications, word problems, but in the context of the textbook. So, hey guys, 2.1, here's the heading, here's the objectives, here are the procedure boxes, here's all this stuff. Look, they have little examples that you can work through, and they even have a practice question for you at the end. Neat. And then what does that look like in the context of, your college algebra book? And so we're mirroring it, or we're demonstrating it in a support course, and their assignment then is to go read, I think it's word problems in college algebra, that section, and they go from there and they do a reflection kind of over it. Like, what did you find that was useful for you? How can you improve? So again, continuous improvement. Our first section of college algebra is called linear and rational equations. And it's the rational equations where you have to factor the denominator, find the LCD, sit there and kind of cancel everything all the way through, right? And so that's intense for them on the first day. So what we have in the support course, you can see is LCD over there. We've got it both with numbers and also with rationals where they have to factor. So they're just finding the LCD, that's it. We also have polynomial multiplication and factoring and types of solutions. And all of that to drive what happens in the support course. So I'll tell you, the first day, we changed from fall to spring, where we were able to link one-to-one. The instructors have a partner, a single partner as opposed to 5 or however. This semester, my students came in, and they were the most engaged group of students that I've ever had. They were asking questions on day 1. They were like, she doesn't understand it, can you explain it? On day 1. It was amazing. I was shocked. The student calendar though, actually, one more thing I wanted to say. We have 2 separate instructors teaching these courses. One that's the credit, and we like that because the credit instructors can focus just on credit. And then we have the dev instructors, and the dev instructors can focus on dev. And so, for a lot of us, we do have a couple folks that are teaching both. But for a lot of us, what we've been struggling with is seeing the students and saying, oh man, they're like so, like how can we help them? We don't want to water it down, but what? And so having the credit completely separate from the dev has allowed us to kind of have conversations around just the credit piece of it and making sure that we hold that line. But in the support class, again, we didn't want to throw a bunch of math at them and be like, math, 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 all day long. But we needed them, like just lecture math, right? But we needed them to get the meaningful practice inside and outside of class. So we built this with an academic, or with an active learning framework as well. Those green lines in the second column there, we have a bunch of amazing instructors, and they told us, hey, this is what we do in class. And we took all the activities that they did and we curated. We made curated activities for various concepts. Now, when I say active learning, I don't mean, oh, look at us, we're going to skip around class the whole time. Because here's the thing. There are a lot of instructors that are fine with doing, like, oh yeah, let's walk around, let's do all these things. But especially for math instructors, some of us are more introverted, and some of our students are more introverted. So we wanted to have a blend. A really good example of active learning that is for introverts. So think, pair, share. And I love this because although people don't believe me, I am secretly an introvert. But so you ask a question, you give them some time to think about it. Then you tell them partner up, pair, talk about it there, come to consensus. Then share with the entire group. So that's something that's like a level 1. There's like level 72 of active learning. But we didn't want to tell instructors, you must do it this way, regardless of your pedagogy and regardless of your personality and regardless of everything. We wanted to make sure that instructors had the freedom to, be themselves in their classroom, because we have an amazing group of dev instructors and credit instructors also. The bottom calendar is student calendar. They don't care about all that. They just care about what's due. There's the first column. Maybe what content they're covering and what's coming up. So that's what they got. So I know in your head you're thinking, dang, how do you guys scale this? Because that's intense. How did you get a bunch of math instructors to buy into this? How did you get them to be successful in that first semester? I'm glad you asked. I used to be a theater major, if you couldn't tell. Introverted me. So, curated list of activities. The fourth is I forget what, and the fifth is I forget what. And so that's fine, right? Like I gave this to them. And I was like, you can take this home, guys, and noodle on it. Think about what you want to do. And, but you don't have to carry it around, because like, that's gonna break your back. Promise. I've been carrying them around. But it was funny because for a couple of weeks afterwards, everybody at the campus, the little satellite campus, where we had had training and where our faculty were working, all of them were like, Natalie, we saw them carrying their binder around. And I was like, you guys are so cute. But this wasn't sustainable for, like, you already have enough stuff to carry around. Why don't we carry around this big thing? So here's where we leveraged our LMS. We made a draft module, and in here, we said, hey, make sure that you've got all your instructions. You can print, download, whatever you want. Again, what you should do during the week. And if they ever needed instructions, handouts, documents, whatever it was, all of that's in the LMS. And so if they were at a different campus and they wanted to show their friend, look at what this thing is, they could just download it and go from there. One thing Harvey has taught us, first of all, I hate paper, but one thing Harvey has taught us is that once paper is destroyed, if you don't have an electronic copy of it somewhere, you don't have anything. So we wanted to make sure that they had both. The other thing was marketing. We talked to our advisors, and we also made this nice little chart for them. And this is not updated now that we're bringing our intro algebra students in, but we wanted the advisors to have something that they could mark up and say, hey, students, this is basically where you need to go. What's your TSIA score, which is kind of in the leftmost column, and then what's your degree plan? What are your dreams in the right column, and that'll kind of guide them. It's funny, we were talking to our advisors about this yesterday, and they have a little thing by the raccoon, and people were arguing over what it was, whether it was a can, an apple, or a flag of Russia. So, so anyway, this was, and our mascot is Cody the Coyote. So this is what we had. So you guys heard me talk about faculty and how we got them on board. You heard me talk about advisors and how we got them on board. We talked to our administrators and got them on board also. Who did I leave out? Students, right? So we also, after we did all of this, we realized, oh man, we need the students to hear the word correct and know the word correct, even if they don't know what it is, and that's fine, we'll handle that. So we worked with our marketing department to put, I love memes, you guys, but to put this on the screens around our campus and around everywhere so that they would at least see the word co-requisite. And when their advisors were talking to them about correct, they would be like, oh, I've seen that before. Because we have to get their attention in a society where we only have their attention for what, 5 minutes at the most, right? Worst. Also, I love bacon, but I didn't make this, students made these. So, because then we found out, because we had some really great ones, we had some Fresh Prince ones, we had some Friends ones, and they were like, but licensing though, we can't do that. We did this on social media too, so I was like, all right, fine, we'll make some regular ones. So this is what we came up with. What did I want to say here? Oh yeah. As we did this, we didn't know what this would look like. We didn't know how this would play out. Would students buy into what we were doing? Would students hate every single thing about it? I don't want to sit there and work with that person over there. Leave me to do my math in peace. Would they say it? Would they be like, this is too much math classes. What? The worst, the worst. We did not know at all. We knew it wasn't perfect, for sure. Our whispered model wasn't sustainable to begin with. We already knew that. But what other changes would we need to make? So, we talked to our students. I compiled all the data, and I'm going to come back to this. Actually, no, I will talk about that now because I want to end on the student data slide. So, with respect to the state, if this wasn't challenging enough, the state then told us, hey, if a student fails college algebra, and also the support course, y'all peeps need to figure out how to help them be successful in the next semester. Cool, thanks. Super easy. So if they pass, then they pass, right? They pass college algebra, they pass the support course. Woohoo! They can move on with their lives. They're blessed. Move on to wherever you're going. Indeed, if they just pass the support course, they can then take college algebra next semester. Well, what happens if they fail? Well, they fail college algebra, and they fail the support course, but the reason they failed the support support courses because they ghosted us, they haven't been doing any work, they haven't been coming to class, they haven't been whatever, they get an F. Their remediation strategy is do the thing we told you to do the first time and retake both classes. Don't sit there and fool around. But there is another case. There is a case where the student has come to the support class, come to college algebra. They've put in every single piece of work that they can put in. They have given their life's blood and their soul. And still somehow they were not able to be successful. Well, in that case, we've developed an 0110 class that is designed to take everything that they've learned from the support course, figure out their blind spots from both courses, and help them out to be successful in the next semester. We give a diagnostic test, those 5 pieces of the pie chart that you guys saw on the first, or on one of the early slides. Those are our 5 syllabus categories. You saw one of them was a diagnostic test. They get the diagnostic test somewhere around week 14. My support instructor just told me it was coming up and I need to get it to them. So it's coming up pretty soon. But essentially, right around week 14, we know who's going to pass the class and who's not in the support course. So anyone that's not passing the support course and has come and done all this work and everything, we're going to give them an IP. And anyone that is in danger of getting an IP, we're going to have the support instructor fill out this sheet here. This is every single assignment that they've turned in. So up at the top, those are the academic mindset assignments, so you can see that we've got reading textbooks, note-taking. But as you saw with the math textbooks, it's not like today we're going to stop doing everything and only talk about math textbooks. Similarly with note-taking, we're not going to stop everything and talk today about note-taking. It's all infused with content. The second piece of it is Alex's work. What modules did they struggle with? Because it is personalized to them. Down at the bottom are the other categories, because kind of talk about where you see their blind spots are, what you see that they need to work on. And then after I've got this compiled, I then turn around and reach out to the 13, 14 instructor. And I say, from your perspective, right now, where we have like maybe one test or just the final left, are they passing currently? Do you expect them to pass? If no, tell me why. That's going to help me to create a personalized plan for each student moving into the next semester. Okay, so that being said, again, we thought students were going to rake us over the coals. We had no idea what they were going to say. So we talked to them and we said, tell us what worked, tell us what didn't. Really just tear us apart. How will I improve this if I don't know what didn't work? Here's what they said. I know these are longer comments, but I chose them because although I asked multiple classes, these 2 captured everything that students said. I thought, again, they were going to rake us over the coals. I had no idea what they were going to say. I had a college algebra student that was standalone, that was credit ready, in my class, and she was upset that she couldn't take the support course because she saw the people coming in ready to go. We also we thought that they were going to tell us it was too much math, 6 hours of math, the literal worst. No, they were like, thank God for this thing. The other thing, anecdotally, that I can tell you from my perspective is that my support instructor and I have very different personalities. They only have to like one of us. But the odds that they are and the odds that they will is really high. The other thing is, she tells them all the time. She has the personality that she can be like, one of our students has really bad test anxiety, she wants to be an instructor. And my partner instructor tells her, honey, how you gonna help these students if you can't take the test yourself? You need to overcome that so that you can help them. I could never say that. I don't have personality to say that. She's been teaching forever. And now she's retired and now she's come back. She has the ability to say that. And so I cannot tell you time and time again how many times students have told us between last semester and this semester, wow, this has actually been a huge help for me. At the end of last semester, going into this semester, I had students that were not passing college algebra, they weren't, but they were passing the support course. And they stuck it out. They came all the way up to the final, and they said, hey, I'm going to take this final because I need the opportunity. Like, I want to take it and get the practice. But also next semester, I know I can pass this class. I just need to talk to work, and I just need to shift my work schedule. I need to spend more time focusing on this class. I need to get my homework done earlier. All these things that we want them to do. So even if they weren't successful in college algebra in semester 1, we did no harm because the next semester, they will be. Our pass rates for this group that we did, with the different instructors, with the whispering, with everything else, overall, nationwide, our college algebra pass rate across the nation for credit level students is 50%. Our group that were underprepared is 48.2. If you take the D's into account, 63.5. So a little over a third were really failing college algebra. And all of that, it was because they ghosted us. We didn't have any in this group that had IPs. They all were either successful or way failing the support course. There was no in between there. And they got the opportunity now to build their confidence for the next semester. So with that being said, you guys have been amazing. What questions do you have for me? How many students at Kingwood go on to take another math after college algebra? I don't have that number off the top of my head, and I certainly don't have it for this percentage, maybe it's the second semester. But after college algebra, we do have some that go into business cal, we do have some that go into trade. And so, and we do even have some that are like, oh man, now I meant to take statistics, so I'm gonna go do that instead. That being said, we don't know also the time frame between when they finish college algebra and when they take their second class, because I've had students, a lot of students that took college algebra 5 million years ago and now they're going to show up in a business cal.
The reason I asked that, I just wanted to know if the mindset from the student in college algebra class, hey, this is the last night class, and I should take it out. Versus somebody who's taking another night class.
Is there a different mindset between students who have college algebra as a terminal course or some that are moving forward? We do have some in our Corequisites courses that are moving into trig and pre-cal that have told us this, and we're like, you know, like let's kind of see how the semester plays out, because building that mathematical maturity is of course important. But as far as it goes, truthfully, I don't see anecdotally myself. I have not asked my support instructors or my credit instructors, but I haven't seen a difference between those that are like, I'm going to be STEM all the way, and those that are like, thank God this is my last class. The other thing is, you know from curriculum team meetings that at Kingwood, we really did a push for the 309 and the non-STEM pathways. So even like we went full bore. We have all 4 of the gateway courses in set up at Kingwood. So we do have some that are in lib arts, we have some that are in stats, and then we have a very, very tiny, minute, minuscule percentage that are in the finite correct. So we do have, you know, likely if it's a terminal course, they've probably gone to some of the others. Did I notice a difference between students taking both instructors or the same instructor? So last semester, I taught the full gamut, and there were several that had me for both, and then there were some that I had for just the support, and then I had for just the credit. And in online, it was slightly challenging last semester with the different instructors, but we figured that out this semester, and so me and my partner online instructor, once a week, I will send an email, she will send an email, and it's coming from both of us with both information. With face-to-face, truthfully, like Professor O'Neill right here, I'm calling you out loud. He's teaching the support and the credit, both of them together. I'm teaching different. So I haven't seen, like, it felt intense when I saw the low level, and I'm trying to bring them up to college algebra. Like, I felt like I was climbing this insurmountable mountain. But being able to just focus on the credit and have the other instructor as kind of a filter, like that's been amazing for me, because I don't see like, oh my God, you guys can't even do this thing and I have to bring you. It was so stressful for me. I don't know, you'd have to talk to someone that actually does teach both all the time, because my perspective.
I do.
Yeah, and see, what I told my instructors, like I'm trying to get more full-timers to teach the co-rec, and my department chair is over there, so I'll be kind of doing this little sales pitch. But I told them, like, guys, it would be business as usual, asterisk, because your first test is gonna be the worst. But for them, like my sales pitch to them is you will have a partner that can help you bring them up. For me, like you, it was so exhausting and worrisome. Do you have a question?
Do you require a textbook? Do they actually have a textbook? And do they bring it?
Do they have a textbook and do they bring it to class? Yes. So what we did was a blend of a couple of textbooks. We had kind of a college algebra, and then we've got our intermediate, a couple sections built in. So it's a custom book for them. But the package comes with 2 codes, and then next semester, let's say they fail college algebra this semester, the code carries on with them. Do they bring it to class? Yes, because our support instructor says we're using this in class. And she actually has them, like they will occasionally use problems in the book, and if they don't have it, then she'll be like, well, find a friend then, if y'all people want to do that. And so what they do is then they come to my class, and then the onus is on me to be like, look at the procedure box on page this, if I want them to use the book as well. One book for the two, one ring to rule them all.
You mentioned that to handle students that need remediation, you're collecting information from the instructors and creating an individualized plan for them. How do you have a plan for when that ramps up from being 25% of your students this year to 75% of your students?
Do I have a plan for remediation when it ramps up from 25 to 75? Well, how I'm going to handle it. Correct. So what I'm going to do, because we didn't have any last semester, so I was saved. We may have some this semester, but I just talked to a group of them and they were like, no, everybody's failing. So I don't expect us to have, again, if I do, it'll be a small percentage. Because what are we asking you to do? Come to class, do the work, ask questions when you're confused. You can't do that, you're not going to pass, right? So my plan is to, over the summer, after I've taught pre-cal and taken a break from co-recs, when I'm off, I'm going to make a plan for each one of those things. And then depending on what the students or the instructors tell me are the blind spots, I'm just going to do a conditional, you're doing these assignments, you're doing these, you're doing these. The ALEX will run itself because they will take all their work from that previous ALEX Pi, and they'll be able to come in here. So I haven't built it yet, but my plan is to make one for someone that got a 0 in the class, let's say, and that way I only have to build it once and just assign it. Well, thank you guys for coming.